news. Again, Soros-funded MoveOn.org takes credit for violence in Chicago.
Who pays MoveOn.org? You can go to Craigslist, MoveOn.org. Bill Ayers was out at the Chicago rally talking about it.
Katrina, that's ridiculous.
George Soros funded some of these. This is all on the...
One of the groups organising anti-Trump rallies is called Move On. It's calling for action and demonstrations against the president-elect nationwide. However, Move On apparently has ties to billionaire investor George Soros. There's a name to conjure with.
I want to wake you up. This is literally Soros brainwashing. It puts you into a cult. It makes you think, read the WikiLeaks, where they want to keep you alone and desperate and the state controlling you.
How can a man cause so much mayhem, fund so many protests, and in some eyes, be the main culprit of this radical movement against Donald Trump? Well, one factor that you cannot argue is that you need a lot of money. Therefore, today we are going to look at the past of George Soros and see how he ended up being one of the most richest billionaires in the world. It all started in 1947. The 17-year-old George Soros attended the London School of Economics. During school, he worked as a railway porter and as a waiter to most likely help himself pay off his tuition. At the age of 20, Soros earned the Bachelor's of Science in Philosophy and the Master's of Science in Philosophy. With his education, he was successful in getting his career going, having working for a few different financial firms. He worked as a clerk and as an arbitrage trader. In 1959, at the age of 28, Soros started working at the Wertheim & Co. as an analyst of the European securities. During his job there, he planned to save $500,000 over the course of 5 years. It is unknown as to how much money he actually saved during that time, but it's assumed to have been a big amount. Now, this is a huge turning point in Soros' life. $500,000 is a lot of money, and one could easily start a business with that money. In 1963, at the age of 32, Soros became the vice president of Arnhold and S. Bloschreiter. 3 years into the working for the organization, Soros utilized his trading skills and started a fund of $100,000 of the firm's own wealth. In 1969, at the age of 38, Soros started the infamous Double Eagle hedge fund. He raised $4 million with his investors, including $250,000 of his own money. This hedge fund was based in Curaçao, Dutch Antilles, which is near Venezuela. As you see here, George Soros became a global player at this time of his life. Now, hedge funds is a type of fund where it's usually undisclosed. Therefore, we, the public, can't confirm who the investors are and its actual operations. Although it is known that the Double Eagle hedge fund had the Rothschild family and other wealthy Europeans put $6 million into the fund. In 1973, at the age of 42, Soros founded the Soros Fund Management. In 3 years, Soros decided to resign from the Arnhold and S. Bloschreiter because he did not want to be perceived of having conflicts of interest between his organization and the Arnhold and S. Bloschreiter's Double Eagle Fund. The Double Eagle would eventually be transferred to the Soros Fund Management, renaming it the Quantum Fund. By the time of the transfer, the Quantum Fund had grown to $12 million. In 1981, when Soros was 50 years old, the Quantum Fund had grown to $400 million, but some of the investors redeemed roughly around 22% of the fund. This reduced the quantum fund to $200 million. In July 2011, at the age of 80, due to the changes in the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission disclosure rule, Soros returned funds back to his investors because those investors will most likely be exposed. For this reason, Soros decided to invest into the quantum fund with $24.5 billion of his own family's wealth. Till this day, it is known that the quantum fund is solely being funded by the Soros family. In 2013, at the age of 82, the quantum fund is now at $5.5 billion. Through this fund, George Soros successfully gained roughly around $40 billion in return. This makes the quantum fund the most successful hedge fund in history. It is respectful that George Soros became a billionaire off his own work and knowledge. The problem is, most of his earnings are undisclosed, since most of his earnings are from the hedge fund. Ever since President Trump got into power, there has been a lot of people who resent George Soros. This is rightfully so. There is no public record of George Soros' main income. Therefore, we don't know for sure if George Soros has done any inhumane work in the past, or if he has funded illegal groups. That concludes the video. I hope you found this video informative, and thank you for watching.